Well, good morning or good afternoon. What is it? It is, what is it? Oh, yeah, it's afternoon. Just turned afternoon. This is Scott and the two Codys. We are here, Serve with Purpose podcast. It's God Talk Go time. I'm here with the two Codys, and we are excited. We got a guest today, but how are you Codys doing?
I'm doing good. I'm really enjoying the weather outside, and been having fun going back to church. We even went to Wednesday night service this week, and I really enjoyed it a lot with us going as a family, with my wife and the two kids. It was our first time, all four of us going to church together on Wednesday, and we just really enjoyed it a lot.
Good.
And same as you, just enjoying the really nice weather. We started up a new church in Crestline that we're starting to gear towards building up a group of people coming out to it. We got a cookout happening this weekend that I'll be looking forward to, hoping the weather will continue to be nice for us.
Good. That's Sunday?
Yes, sir, this Sunday.
That's awesome. So I hear you are looking at leading the youth out there, and you're looking to get your minister's license.
Yep, it's a work in progress, but that's where we're heading right now.
That's awesome. Well, I'm doing great too. It's been hot. But we love it. We love it out here, just working outside. We were just talking before we started recording how I mow my lawn 3 times more than my neighbor does. So he's over there mowing his lawn with his motorbike.
You make your neighbor look really bad,
Yeah.
probably, because his yard's probably a lot taller than yours all the time.
Yeah, I think you have tigers in your yard. I'm pretty sure I've seen some tigers.
Yeah, I like to keep the grass high for the wild tigers so that they can hunt well.
That's good. Just make sure you don't miss kids over there, okay?
I thought it was to hide the flip-flops from his dog.
That's right. My dog keeps bringing flip-flops over here, and I have to go take them back over. Here's a flip-flop. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
We got a tennis ball over here, too. I don't know if you guys lost a tennis ball.
No, but I really was looking for that cornhole bag.
Whoops. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So let's go on to the guest. Apparently, I wanted to buy a cornhole bag. Can I have a raise? Anyway, we have some guests here. DeWayne and Maja Lee here. They are the leads and owners and CEOs and founders and they run Healing Hearts in Mansfield and in Columbus. And they have just a great vision to help those people who are have addiction issues and as well as mental health. Just introduce yourself a little bit here and tell us how you're doing today.
Sure. Maja Lee, and I am good. It's really exciting and fun to be here. It's the first time I've done anything like this. I'm not sure about you doing, but just good to be here. Excited to see what unfolds. I'm feeling kind of God already here.
Good, very good.
My name's DeWayne Lee, and I always like to tell people that Scott gives me too much credit, because I'm the janitor, but I am married to the boss, so therefore things are grand.
Yeah. He actually lifts the toilet seat so I can clean the porcelain. That's what he does. So we kind of work together there. I work for him. So, yeah. So, one of the things that I really love about Serve with Purpose is we get to talk about simple ideas and how to get people to understand why people do the things they do. And the one thing I love about Healing Hearts is it's a Christ-centered job. I mean, you don't have to be a Christian to be in it. You don't have to be a Christian to be a client. You don't have to be a Christian to work there, which is awesome. But at the same time, you guys do have Christ in the middle of it. And that's something I guess we should have prayed right before we started this, but God is in it. So, it is awesome to have that. I work there. I think I've talked about it several times. Yeah, I know. You guys didn't know that, did you? Yeah. But wait a minute. We've been paying you. So great nap areas. I love that. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
We're not sure if you work there, Scott.
No,
I don't think I've ever seen you work. Right?
Well, I clock in there. Anyway, yeah. But you know what I just love the family atmosphere and just being able to come in. But what I would like to do is talk a little bit about your vision, and however you guys want to do it, talk about the vision of what you feel Healing Hearts is for. What are you looking at for Healing Hearts to do?
I guess I would say just a little bit about the background is that when I started Healing Hearts, I had graduated from Ashland Seminary, and I feel like God tricked me into becoming a counselor. It's not something necessarily I thought I'm going to aspire to be a counselor, but at some point, kind of dealing with some things going on for me, past history of sexual abuse, and some trauma in my own life, then I started to be involved in a sexual abuse group, and then began to explore my own issues, and then ended up going with my friend to seminary. She was applying to be a counselor, and while I was there, the admissions coordinator said, "Hey, do you want to apply? It's free today. We have this thing going on." I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I'm just kind of waiting. Yeah. We both got accepted. She moved to Florida. So I ended up, really becoming a counselor at that point, and then said, this is scary. There's a responsibility for people's lives, but God's the counselor. I'm just assisting him. So I know DeWayne and I tease about, that I'm the owner. His joke is that I'm the boss at home and the boss at work.
That's true.
But I feel like I'm a reluctant leader. We were talking about that this morning. But that's how Healing Hearts started. And so my vision was, how can I join with God when somebody is there in front of me? How can I hear what God is doing in their life and help them? So that's kind of my version of how we got started.
Okay, and I sort of got tricked by my wife into becoming a counselor. Not really. I've just gone through a lot of struggles in my own life around addiction, and I decided later on in life to become a counselor, and my purpose, personal purpose, is to allow people to understand God is in all that we do.
Yeah.
And we try, in doing that, we try to give people a million chances at getting their life together.
And I'm going to have to correct you on that. I think it's more of 1,000,001. 1,000,001.
Okay. 1,000,001.
Okay. All right.
Because God's given us chances over and over again. Right?
Yeah, so absolutely.
Why would we not?
The Bible says, his mercies are new every day. And that's how, you guys are then treating people as well. You guys' mercies are new every day. And so I think that's really important. I think Cody had a question for you.
Yeah, where did the name Healing Hearts, where did that come from?
I can explain that. Can I jump back to your
thought?
Yeah,
go ahead.
God's mercy is new every morning.
Yeah.
One of the analogies, I think this was from a John Ortberg book, but I love it. The idea of the sea, right, the ocean, and the waves that come, right, on the ocean, and that they continue to come over and over again, and that is not only God's love for us, right, which, also new every morning, his mercies are new for us every morning. It doesn't stop. So I was at a conference at Ashland Seminary, and sitting next to my friend, and I had been asking people, hey, what name should we come up with? What should we do? Should we try to find a name that starts with an A, so it's at the top of the list? I'm thinking of all the business strategies or marketing. And I had all kinds of people give me all kinds of names. And some of them were, just funny, like my nephews and just all kinds of things.
You didn't ask me is why.
They didn't ask you at that point in time. But a friend sitting next to me wrote down, we were in the middle of hearing someone, she wrote down a piece of paper and handed it to me and said, Healing Hearts is what it was on it. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to, so we went with that. And I think our tagline is not I think, but our tagline is where restoration begins. And that's very
In the heart.
important. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that's very important, for us. Just the words that we use in identifying, our name, is very important. So
I think it's awesome. I think the Healing Heart explains it all, because a lot of people feel entitled. A lot of people feel they come in expecting so much from so many people until they come in, and that's what I love about this. When I left and come back, when you guys were talking about the person who left to come back,
that's what I was going to ask you. What was that like for you? Right?
Yeah.
You were with us. You were
Hey,
here.
I'm
you
the
left.
one interviewing. What the heck's what's going on? No, but yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
She's turning red. I love it. I meant sorry, boss. Anyway, no, but I'm glad you asked. Because one of the things that that I missed so much when I left was, obviously I was bored to death, but one of the things I missed so much when I left was the fact that Healing Hearts gives people a chance and a vision to say, you know what, it starts from within. It is a restoration. It starts from within. Everywhere else I worked, even when we worked at Mohican, which I tell you, I did love Mohican. I loved it at first, and then everything changed. But I tell you, I've never been to a place where you work from within. It's always been, you have to conform to this. You have to do these things, and then that's how you get where you need to be. And, in Healing Hearts, it's more, listen, it's all from the inside. Let's talk about relapse. Let's talk about why this happened. And then let's talk about your heart. And then we work everything else in it, and they go, you know what? We need to be within. And then people find God through that. So many people come in there just totally off the wall. They're just out there, and they leave just loving God, and they leave loving people, and they're happy. That's what I love about that. As I just, you guys aren't getting rid of me. I mean,
Good.
yeah, just want to let you
We
know.
don't want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, maybe.
Well, you find my sleeping spot, you might. Yeah.
I think what you guys are talking about really brings something. What reminds me of something is when you say, conforming to, habits, and that's how some people think you bring about change. That reminds me of the Old Testament of the law, and many religions that we have now. It's like, hey, you do this, and then you can bring about change, and you can bring about the things that you want in your life, and you do. But with Christianity, it's about what Christ has already done for us, and He changes us then from the inside. It's the inside, and I think that model, and I think you guys have found that model, changing from the inside, is what Christ came to give us, a new heart, and that model is what really brings about people's lives changing then.
So as you say that, what's interesting to me is I think about, for me, growing up in a home that was very focused on God. My mom would pray with us. My mom would have Bible study with us. But I think somewhere in there, I learned I have to be perfect for God. There are these rules, there's these regulations that I have to do to be perfect. And so then there was a time where I went to, I don't have to do any of this. I don't have to wear a dress to church. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be just every Sunday. So, there were kind of rules or expectations of being perfect that I let go of. And then I feel like I went to almost to this other side, whatever, it doesn't matter, whatever goes. And where I believe God has been bringing me back to is there's a structure also that helps, when you're, and I have nephews and nieces, but, when you raise them, there's a structure that helps. There's a structure for me when I think about, reading my Bible. It's not that it's something forced or that it brings acceptance by God, but it's a structure that helps me to connect. Just like husbands and wives, you can have a structured, date night. That doesn't bring about the intimacy, but that enables the time for intimacy. So yes, it starts within, but I think the structure that we give our clients is also super helpful.
Absolutely. I love it.
did you have something you wanted to read?
Well, I tell you, one of the things I tell you, one thing I love, and we say it often in here. In fact, our last podcast, we kind of focused around moving forward, is Philippians 3:13. Now I was going to read about us being citizens of heaven and how we enter into that. But to go back into 3:13, it talks about not looking back, but looking forward. And that's another thing that we do when we heal. A lot of times we deal in a situation in counseling, especially with kids. What they do is they focus so much on where they came from, and they cannot leave that label alone. And in 3:13, it makes it really good. I love it here. It says, now that I've already obtained this, well, let's go ahead and start. It says, brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet have taken hold of it. But one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining towards what is ahead. And so you strain towards what is ahead. And it goes on to 14, says, I press on towards a goal to win the prize in which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. So it says that we have to forget what's back there, leave that behind us. And I think so many times, as someone who struggles with alcohol, somebody who's been clean from drugs probably a good 30 years now, but somebody who struggles with that, sometimes it's easy for us to pick that up and say, man, I was such a dirtbag, and you could take that and wear that and say, that this is the label, this is the name tag I'm putting on me, and then my life becomes that again. What God says is that you are clean from that, and when you work from within, whenever you have that structure, it's not just about conformity, but structure. When you have the structure, and you say, we're going to have date night, we're going to have our time when we get together and study the Word. We're going to have that time out and back in the woods where we have the chair in the tree and sit down. And, what I'm saying? Because I got that, and be able to sit there. We got to have that time. And I know you talked about, Topman, about how you and your wife, how things have changed and how you guys desire to get together with people and to have that study.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
That's all you got. Okay. Yeah.
Were you asking?
Well, yeah. So talk about, if you don't mind, just when you talked about you getting together, you wanted to have why is that important to you? Why is getting together with
when there for a while, I was gonna say, I guess it would be a lot longer. Me and my wife's been together for around 13 years, and I would say probably 10 of the 13 years we probably went on maybe 1 or 2 date nights. Other than that first year. Once we had a kid, it just kind of was anything we did with the kids. And over time, we started to feel like, we were more of like roommates than we were, soulmates or husband and wife. And it took a point of it basically breaking down to where, she wasn't sure if she wanted to be with me anymore. Because like I said, basically that's what we were. We were roommates. We were lucky if we'd be able to go to sleep at the same time because I'd work third and she would be up with the kids. So basically it took a time for us to really sit down and look at things and realize, we strayed apart from us growing together. We both were growing, but we weren't growing together. So then we started looking different. We went to counseling, and after counseling, we started to really look into, that we need to do more things together again, where we're growing together. And one of the things we looked at was, trying to do more Christ-based activities, making church important, finding time and planning time to go to church. Where we just talked about earlier about starting up a church there in Crestline. We're talking about going through and doing the ministry schooling together, so that's an area that, again, that not just one of us is growing in it, that we're both growing in it at the same time to get closer with God, which will then ultimately bring us closer together.
That's so lovely. That's so lovely. To me, right? That's the restoration.
Yes, sir.
Out of a place.
That's habit.
But out of a place that you were disconnected and, separated and apart from your wife, right? You connected with her, but you also connected with God. And the outgrowth from that, right, was then helping other people connect to God.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And it was the connecting to God. He kind of gave me the pathway because, like I said, I couldn't figure out, I love my wife. I used to work at Mohegan working, 65, 70 hours a week. And I viewed that as, I'm putting all this time in so that you can have a beautiful house and, I can take care of the family while you go to school. And in my head, I had a hard time figuring out, why does it feel like I'm not, you don't feel like I'm doing that for you. And it wasn't the fact that she seen I was doing that for her. It was the fact that she just, there wasn't that time for us to be into it together.
That wasn't her highest priority or value.
Correct. And
it wasn't providing for her. It was connecting with her.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And going through counseling, we talked about the 5 love languages, which was a book that I absolutely love.
Right.
That it just kind of, it just reprogrammed my mind that, the way I view things and the way she viewed things are 2 different ways. And all that effort I was putting in one area wasn't doing as much as just putting a little bit of effort in another area. And it's a world of difference that our relationship has after just being able to just let God show me and put me on the path of what it is my wife's looking for from me.
Her love languages and yours are?
Mine is, it's surprisingly, because mine is more geared towards what you would view almost as like a female's, to where mine is quality time. Mine is like positive reinforcement. And then hers is most definitely acts of kindness. That's it. And the acts of kindness was just little things like, when I come home, spend an hour just helping her clean the house. Just little things like that just really, really help her to where she doesn't feel like she's stressed to the max 24/7.
Yeah.
That's neat.
It is.
Yeah,
that you recognize it and that you now are doing that.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask a question now?
You can. I was gonna ask you, because you actually lead a study in your house for your family, don't you?
Yeah, we've been working with my wife. It's kind of funny. My wife kind of grew up in a Christian home and things like that, but didn't really know a lot, and so and I was definitely way off the charts, wild man. And but when I got saved 2 years ago, I really it was life changing down to the core, very deep, and so then I found just a hunger and a passion to study the Word of God, to learn just everything I could, because if once I found that this is reality, that this worldview is the worldview, then I need to spend my time just learning and just growing closer to God. And so now, giving it back to my wife, and with the kids every night, when we go to bed, pray with my son every night, read him Bible story every night. And my grandma also helps out a lot, and she takes him to church, and he does church with her. And so that's kind of like their thing they do together on Sunday mornings. But then me and my son, we pray together before we eat and when we go to bed at night. And it's just really important to us. But I had a question for both of you. So you guys have been doing this counseling for a long time. And I would just wanted you to give us and the listeners maybe each of yours favorite testimony of somebody else. Your favorite testimony of somebody who you thought was just so far, gone, so far out there, and how, you just saw how great and how wonderful God works and how powerful He is, maybe to change people that maybe you in your own mind didn't even think that could be changed. So maybe each of you give your favorite person that's not the same person.
We want names and birthdays.
Yeah.
Social security numbers.
Do you want to go first?
Well, I think that, I had a client one time, and, I try to be very kind, but sometimes clients need rest. And,
I remember that.
I had a client in my office one time, and I was just reading her the riot act, and I kept looking over at Maja.
I'm sorry.
And winking.
Right? This is what wives do. We interrupt, and I apologize. We were in a triangle. So DeWayne was, I know the listeners can't see that. DeWayne was one, but we were a triangle. And so DeWayne could face the client, and then how he turned his face, it could just be toward me, so he would wink. So that's what he's saying. the client couldn't see him wink, but he would wink, and I could see it.
Mhm.
So, should I let you finish, or can I go
Yeah,
a little
go
bit?
ahead.
Okay, so we were in this triangle, and he was like, "You're this, and you need to do this," and I'm like sitting there from a mental health perspective, going, and I'm trying to not have this shocked look on my face, going, "You don't," like I'm thinking, "You don't yell at clients. You don't do this. Like you're soft and you're like," I'm thinking that, right? And then at one point, because I'm trying to figure out how I can interrupt and how I can intervene. And then when he looked at me and winked, I was like, what is going on? What the heck is going on?
So DeWayne, what were you thinking? Like, so it sounds like from what she's saying is like you were going in on her, but like you were keeping it cool though. Like you were upset, but you were keeping it cool enough that you knew you were letting your wife know that
He
like
was
you were
not
still
upset.
in check.
I definitely was not.
fake.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
Was
all
not upset.
acting.
Okay.
It was all
Yeah.
acting.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's like how you might instruct your children.
Yeah.
Right? And, at that point in time, I felt that that's what she needed.
Mhm.
And so now the same client who was probably, 4 years clean, whenever I see her, she comes up to me and she said, "Do you remember that time?" I said, "Absolutely."
Can I forget?
She said, "That's exactly
Yeah.
what I needed to get clean."
Right.
And so she's been clean ever since.
That's
That's
awesome. Yeah, that's good.
And that was so good for me to see and experience too, because after that client left, he's like, "Yeah, that was just, I didn't, that was all." I'm like, I am so shocked. Like I would never like do that with a client. But right, DeWayne is super great with AOD clients. He's just fantastic with them. I am not. Like I am mental health, I'm not as good with AOD, and that was a little bit traumatic initially for me. and then I understood what was going on, but I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like I'm,
That was the fun we used to have at our job. We would get both of them, and we would call it wearing different hats. So
And we'd have to go outside, prepare ourselves. I don't even feel like I'm mad. You have to go, okay, I'm good. You go in. So, yeah. But anyway. So what about you now?
That's funny.
Do you have somebody different that you think was?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the first person that comes to mind was someone who really came to me, and just because she saw my picture on, the internet, for advertising or something, and this was years and years ago, but came to me and was really terrified and thought she couldn't tell me anything, thought I presented this image, right, that I had never done anything wrong. She didn't know my story, which is, normal. You don't hear your counselor's story, but just was terrified of talking to me, and met my husband, was terrified of him, would have panic attacks, and
I don't blame her.
yeah.
I'm having one now.
Yeah.
And reached a point where like she couldn't even sit in a group, right, of people without having a panic attack, and then when she did, would need to sit next to me, years later, right, is not having those panic attacks, does great in a group of people, is not afraid of DeWayne, is off on her own, doing her own thing, has wonderful leadership qualities and capabilities. So it is fantastic to
That's
see what God does in people's lives. And I feel like privileged that we get to go along for the ride. And I say I'm a reluctant leader because I never have wanted to be one. I've never wanted to be the owner and have staff. And I don't, that's no disrespect,
Yeah,
right?
To
To staff.
Since me, is what you mean. I came in like, whoa, a minute.
Yes. But it's interesting that I think God also puts reluctant leaders in places, and there's a lot that I've had to learn and a lot of mistakes I think that I've made. And I have to try to see it differently. I have to see it as this is, when I'm with a client, it's God in the driver's seat. It's not me in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And I have to think of it as the same way, right? I'm not in the driver's seat. God's in the driver's seat. But my husband, on the other hand, I would say, is an amazing leader and has wonderful vision. And I would say that it comes naturally for you, and it does not for me. It's a struggle for me, but it comes naturally for you, and has some really good vision. I have kind of individual visions with my client, but.
And I think that's one thing I love about God. Throughout the Bible, He uses reluctant leaders to do amazing things. And from everything you guys are saying, I mean, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that was my favorite thing of working with you out at Mohegan is we were known for taking kids that no other groups or group leaders wanted because, each day was a new struggle with them. It was like repeating the cycle. And one thing I loved about me and you was the fact that we treated each day as, what happened yesterday was yesterday.
Yeah.
The only way we're going to get any progress is,
Wow.
today is the next day. Let's, and it's crazy how given over time, once that person sees that they're acting out isn't going to push you away, which a lot of times, those peers, that's their defense mechanism. If I act out, sooner or later, I don't got to deal with the problem because this person's going to give up on me.
Yeah.
We wouldn't give up on. I had one peer doing the same thing. I kept him for like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And, right now he's at home living, a good life because at a certain point he realized my acting out's not going to, let me skate by or get past dealing with the problem.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I love from the sounds of your guys' business that, with not giving up on somebody, you get past that point and they see, this person actually cares for me, and they'll start to open up and you can actually deal with real problems or what's really hurting or, their past or what happened to them.
And I know, Major, you have a story and a background in that. What I really want if you don't mind, DeWayne, I would love to for you to talk about where you come from, because you come from a place that a lot of people if they come through that, they just give up. It'd be done. Be like, wow, I've been at this place, and I'm done. I've already messed up. Can you tell your story?
Yeah, certainly. I actually grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and went to school at Capital University, and then went on to work at IBM. Worked there for a long time, and then I fell in love with cocaine and went on to crack cocaine, and that led me to prison. And at that point in time, I spent about 9.5 years in prison. In fact, that's where I met Maja. She was there doing her internship, and my boss, I worked in mental health as an aide. My boss said, keep your eye on her, and I really enjoyed keeping my eye on her.
I think I literally did.
Yeah. But and I looked her up after I got out, and we connected, and
nothing happened while there wasn't.
And then I, like a lot of addicts, I stayed clean for a while, and then got back involved with crack, and it just seemed like every single time.
And we were disconnected at that point.
Yeah.
Right? We weren't connected.
It just seemed like every single time I smoked crack, I would get a knock on my door, and it would be the Columbus Police Department, and I'd be like, wow, how do they know that I'm smoking crack? And and then I'd do it again, and they'd show up again and again, and finally it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, stop smoking crack, right? So but I did go, in the interim, I did go back to prison again, and then when I got out, I married this young lady. We've been married for about 7 years now.
Awesome.
And she convinced me to be a counselor, right? And so I think that because of my own struggle, because of the things that I've gone through, because of the grace that individuals have extended to me, who am I not to extend the same grace to those who come before me. And my wife says I'm a good visionary, and she says that until I mess up, right? And try not to mess up too often. But it's been a ride. It's been an exciting adventure. When we first got together and were counseling, it was just 2 of us, and now there's, I don't know, about 45 of us. Well, make that 43. You're fired, Scott.
Oh, yeah. I count as 2 apparently. 45 to 43.
Yeah.
Okay, he doesn't do the books, does he? Oh wow.
So it's just been a great time, and I'm fortunate that I'm one of the people who actually made it out of my addiction. And I, having gone to Capital, having worked at IBM, a lot of people would think, wow, how did he get involved in drugs? And everyone can get involved in drugs and alcohol. So yeah,
I think we kind of want to maybe. Can I ask one more question?
Yes, ask
have them both elaborate.
Don't look at that. Yeah.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
To what he said. Now I'm trying to think of what it was. I think the other, what's interesting to me is, that DeWayne and I come from I believe, really different backgrounds. We come, obviously I'm, white and he's black. And I think the Lord has done something that not that we would or could conceive of, right? In bringing us together and kind of doing counseling. I'm mental health, he's AOD. So there's this, I think, unique blend of what we bring, as a leadership couple, as a leadership team, with the rest of the crew that's, there at Healing Hearts, and, just that God's at work. So.
Well, and then that kind of leads me into what I wanted to ask you both. Again, a question for each of you, is that, so a lot of people who are not Christians, the reason why is they have the problem of evil. If you ever study theology, it's that people don't understand why evil things happen. And both of you have gone through stuff in your life that was, you didn't do anything to deserve it, and bad things happened to you. And at that time, you didn't understand why those things were happening to you. You're just like, I am just being oppressed by this evil. But now when you look back, you can see how God has used that. So I don't know if maybe both of you could talk about, like, when maybe you were in that situation where like all this bad stuff is happening to you, but now you understand why God allows certain things to happen to you, maybe so you could help other people or something.
Do you want to go first?
Well, I think that I've had so much bad stuff happen. I had to take a look at my life and try to figure things out. And I think I always looked at 2 Chronicles 7:14, where it says, "If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray." And it's it was always when I had a haughty spirit that bad things would happen to me. But whenever I was humble, great things would happen.
Yeah.
So it was just having a sense of humility.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
Yeah.
So that was your reflection when you looked back on it. That what you said is that when I realized that I was humble, that's when, in the midst of struggle, when you were humble, you could see that God brought some relief, whether it changed your circumstances or not. I remember you being when you were incarcerated, and you said, even though I'm incarcerated, there are places here that I am more free than I was, when I wasn't in prison, because of what God has done and is doing, in your life. So, and I'm sorry, I also I'm sorry, I'm not really sorry, but I just remember you talking about how your mom would pray, and that your mom, when the police would come knocking on your door, right, that your mom would pray that you would get caught, right, that, so you wouldn't end up dead.
Right.
And I think that is why you're so good with our, for me as a mental health counselor to say to AOD, I've been there. Well, I haven't struggled with drugs or alcohol. And so I can't say that. You can say that you've been there. And so I think to your question, for me, struggling and kind of going through it, I feel like this almost doesn't count or doesn't compare, right, with where you've been. But growing up, being the youngest of 5, ever since I was little, thinking I wanted to be married, I wanted to have a family, and met DeWayne, right, and then when he was, got out of prison, he called me, and this isn't the suffering part of the story, but he called me.
I was going to say, this sounds good.
Yeah, this part of it was good. But he called me on my, my birthday is September 8th. And I was at home. This is the story. I was at home. I was with my mom. I was living with her because I was going back to school. And I was reading my Bible. And it was my birthday. And I was reading the Message version. It was, I think, Psalms 2. And it said, the version says, today is your birthday. You can have whatever you want. Mountains at your, feet. And I started laughing because it was God playing, right? He was playing with me. Yeah. And I said, okay, I want a house. I want a man. Yeah. There was a third thing, and I can't remember what the third thing was. But that's what I told God. I had put in a offer on a house, right? So later that day, like, I don't know, an hour later, I get, they accepted my offer. And I was like, woo-hoo. And the whole rest of the day, I was like, is a guy dropping out of the sky, right? And I think for women, there is this, and I'm not saying there's not for men, but there's this suffering of loneliness. Yeah. There's a suffering of not being partnered with someone, not being known, not having a family, not being connected. That is different. We're made different just from the, Adam and Eve from the curse. The curse for the man was you're going to have a hard time working, right? Mm-hmm. The curse for the woman was, pain and childbirth, but potentially also, right? I think not just if you're single and you don't have a child, mm-hmm. you don't escape the curse. And so there's a part of that's this disconnection from other people, right? Mm-hmm. So I think for me, there was a suffering of not, having someone. And so anyway, I ended up going to work the next day, and I listened to my voicemail, and it was a message from DeWayne. Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. I met you at whatever. I met you, and just wanted to see if you'd like to have coffee. And I felt like he was this, this, oh my gosh, it dropped out of the sky. And so I thought we were going to be together. And then we went out on a date, and I was like, I think this, and I'd never felt it that strongly. Mm-hmm. I felt this is the guy. And then I didn't, we went on some dates, and then I didn't see you because that's when you went back to prison, right? So I didn't see you for a while. And so there was this, for me, there's that suffering, right? We get married then at 46. And so then when I look back at it, so when you talked about looking back, I look back at it and I go, during that time, I kept saying, why? What, God, what's wrong with me, right? What's wrong with me that I'm in my 40s and I'm single, that no one has pursued me, or wanted me? What is it? And God, why haven't you brought relief, right, to this, or brought someone to me, or I feel like tricked me into having potentially something with DeWayne or potentially with someone else, and it's gone.
But now your joy just totally over exceeds that.
That is an interesting question. Joy over exceeds. I think I thought it would be the end of suffering, mm-hmm. and what I found is. Then when DeWayne and I reconnected and we got married, and it's wonderful, and it's wonderful mm-hmm. being married. I wouldn't say joy over exceeds. Okay. I think
I would say
he's like, wait a minute.
Hey, suffering better be over.
We were speaking. I was speaking to the man, I guess.
Yeah. No, I just think marriage is harder mm-hmm. than I thought, but it's also wonderful. Like I do not want to give up DeWayne. I would never give up DeWayne. But I also think our joy is also found in God. Whereas mm-hmm. before I thought I will be happy. I will be married. I will be happy. Yeah. Marriage isn't what brought happiness.
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
I understand.
yeah.
But I think it's awesome that that you guys have come together, because I think what Cody Ross said, I think it was very good to understand that what we go through prepares us for what we're doing.
Yes.
And I think that every time we have an experience, whether it's good or bad, we can mope about it. We go, oh, everybody hates me. Oh, this is an awful world, Or we can say, you know what? I'm going to use this
Yes.
for the best, and I'm going to help somebody through through what I've been through, and try to help them get out of this. And I think that's the most important part of life. I think it's the most important part of being a Christian, and that's what you guys do on a daily basis. You take your life and you say, you know what? I'm going to pay it forward, if I could say it that way. Still a movie title. I want to pay it forward, and I'm going to take what's happened to me, and I'm going to help other people. Whether it takes me having to act out, being upset, you having to go through a panic because, oh, what's going on here, or and you've gone through some past and saying, you know what, hey, I can connect with that. But it's great that you recognize I'm not SUD. I'm not that person. You are. So you guys not only teamed up and made a great team for marriage, but you've also made a great team for people and help people. And that's what I love about you guys. I truly am very happy you guys have been with us today. I really am. I appreciate you guys coming out.
Well, we thank you for having us, Scott.
We have loved it.
Yeah.
Good.
Right? And we love you too. We're
Well,
so
thank
glad
you.
that you're part of the team, because I feel like where we have stepped back, you are, you and all our other staff, they're on the front lines, and you guys are the ones who are doing really what we started out to do, but you guys are doing it, and you're doing an excellent job. I mean, our staff is wonderful. Dwight, one of the things that you always say is we have the best staff in Mansfield, and then you said we have the best staff in Ohio. We have the best staff in
the United States. We have the best staff in the world, and I also want to thank Cody for having us here.
Yeah, it was really nice meeting you guys. Scott's talked to you about you guys a lot, and it was all good stuff. You know how he is.
Probably not, right?
But I know he really cares about both of you, because, even behind closed doors, he always just expresses how much he cares for both of you and how much you have done for him. And, you guys care about how much he's done for you as well. And so it was really nice meeting you guys today.
It's exciting to see that there's people here in our little town in Mansfield that, still cares about other people and want to help other people.
Yeah. Amen. Absolutely. Yeah, and by the way, I'll need my credit card back by the end. Perfect. Yeah. So, but yeah, hey, I appreciate you guys coming again. I love the fact that we are Pastor Allen's going to be a guest. I think next week.
Yay.
Yeah. So he's actually coming with his grandkids tomorrow. They're going to go and catch some fish out of there. Hopefully they can get them before the muskrat gets them. If I don't shoot that muskrat this week. But but yeah, I'm really excited to start having you guys. I'm glad you guys are the first guests in this season, and I'm just excited about this. I really am. Thanks, Cody and Cody. I appreciate you guys coming out. I know you got some things going on, so you guys see your phone just working, and you're like, oh my gosh, what time is it? So we got another half hour. So tell me, guys, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. And I'm excited about the cookout. You say it's tomorrow?
Yeah, it's tomorrow. I believe it's 6:00 in Crestline.
What's the address over there?
That's a great question. I'll put it on Facebook.
Yeah, put it on Facebook. Put it online. So, guys, listeners, if you guys want to get a hold of us, got any questions for DeWayne and Maja, please let us know. You can email us at servewithpurpose3. That's at gmail.com. That's serve with purpose. That's not fur, but serve with purpose. The number 3 at gmail.com. You can also get a hold of us on the Facebook page on Serve with Purpose. Go ahead.
I was going to see if we can give the phone number for Healing Hearts.
You sure can. Please do.
Okay. So 419-528-5993. If somebody would like to contact us and have any drug and alcohol or mental health services.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can get online too. That's our
website.
Website is a website. Healing Hearts. They also have a Facebook page.
So the website is Healing Hearts CC, stands for Counseling Center, healingheartscc.com.
That's right. And if you look at pictures on there of staff, my picture's on there. It's probably the best picture. Okay. All right. Maybe not, but go ahead.
I was saying, if you guys don't mind, what I can do for you is I can put on our website. I can put your guys' website page on there for you. Or
Go for it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, so perfect. Yeah. And if you guys have any questions, please do that. Let us know. And I'm just going to go ahead and end this. And it's going to take me about 10 minutes because Cody has to go somewhere. So if you can hang, I'm just kidding. So you want to say anything before we leave? Like goodbye? Okay.
No, I'm good.
You're good.
Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
All right.
love you and appreciate you spending some time with us.
All right, great. Guys, we just want to say God bless you. Thank you for joining us. And again, thank you, DeWayne and Maja, for being with us. And the Healing Hearts, make sure you get a hold of them in Mansfield if you need anything at all. It's a wonderful place. This has been Serve with Purpose. God Talk Go Time. Have a great day.